CalazCon is a show about war, obsession, colonialist occupation, and the many forms of violence those inflict. See the description for content warnings specific to this episode. Hello and welcome back to CalazCon. This is the second episode of the Cycle 3 Legislature, and as always, the Legislature is sponsored by Gabe Gonzalez. I'm Austin Ramsey, I am your host for this episode, and I will also be playing the Speaker of the House, Fabrizio Catana. You can find me at austin-ramsey.itch.io. I'd also like to remind everyone that if you want to financially support CalazCon, you can do so at patreon.com/CalazCon. This evening, I am joined by Anna.
Hello, my name's Anna. I'm going to be playing Dr. Clepsydra Kane, the legislator for the Farm State. If you want to read my game, you can find Capes of the Dark at seasidesepulchre.itch.io.
Thank you. Also with us is Brendan.
Hello, my name is Brendan McLeod. I'm going to be playing Red Philodendron, representative for Zero Accountability. You can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet at Sulcata. You can find the games that I make at sulcata.itch.io, and you can listen to my other show, Oathsworn, at oathswornpodcast.com.
We're also joined by PB.
What's up? I'm PB. You can follow me on Twitter at Polyhedra or at Blue Sky at Polyhedral. You'll figure out the spelling, it's fine. You can also check out poly3d.itch.io, where you can find the role-playing games that I write, including a trilogy of divine world-building games called Dodecahedroverse that I highly recommend.
Gavin's here too.
Hello, I'm playing Kagan Fischel, aka Fishy. You can find everything that I do at mixedsuccess.com.
And last but not least is Snuggs.
Hi, I'm Snuggs. Usually find me right here on Discord. I will be playing Zendre Mavis, the legislator representing the 86th Dismounted Squad.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So, last episode, we had a rather dramatic turn of events as the Chameleon Rangers assaulted the legislature in hopes of acquiring data on the various DFS squads within the Hestial Front. However, thanks to the efforts of the legislators present, they were unable to achieve their goals. So, let's get back to the matter at hand and your assigned jobs of voting on what the DFS should do next.
We're not going to jump into our mechs and head out onto the battlefield?
No, not at this time. Who knows what the future holds.
Yeah.
So, last time we had Red do a single speech. Does anyone want to do another speech or do some horse trading? These can, of course, be framed either before... Well, the horse trading can be framed as before the assault from the Chameleon Rangers or afterwards. I guess even during for certain pairings. But I don't think any speeches can have happened before the assault other than Red's.
How long after the incident is this session taking place? It's like a week later, a couple days later?
I think it's between a week and 2 weeks later, because I think that it's
All right.
like long enough for everyone to be up and about, but not long enough for anyone's wounds to really fully have healed. Like, I will not be surprised if someone is in a wheelchair for most of this legislative session.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple of us took some pretty nasty bumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of, the way that harm and scars are going to work in this, since generally speaking the legislators don't deal with those sorts of things, is that they are just going to be purely narrative, talk about how whatever harm you still have is affecting your character and their behavior. Notably, everyone should clear any level 1 harm they have, and then as each legislature goes on, we'll lower all remaining harm you have by another level. Just in case that another attack happens between now and the end of the show.
Great.
I would say that I don't have anything planned, but I also didn't have the Chameleon Rangers attack planned either. That's just how their squad goals shook out.
Gnarly.
Fun.
Nice.
So, who has a speech or some horse trading to do?
I would like to give a speech.
Do you have slides prepared?
I don't have slides prepared because Kieklak was not planning on giving a speech until we were attacked, but now there have been some things I kind of have to address. I've got a level 3 harm, I have a new scar, I also have had some embarrassing personal information leaked.
Is this your Notes app apology?
I think we'll see.
I do have all of my speech notes written out in my Notes app and not on my computer.
Well,
because
we're
I was working
halfway
on this
there.
at work.
I love when I'm attacked by terrorists so hard that I'm forced to give a formal apology.
Well, it's not the fact that we were attacked by terrorists. I know we talked about this at the end, but I should just lay this out for everyone. So Kieklak Nil, as I think I've talked about before on recording, is a prolific Calazar fanfic author. They have been writing the same Calazar fanfic for like 30 years, pretty much ever since they defected, and they've done it under a pseudonym. There have been a few people in the fringes of the internet who have like theorized that they could be the author, but that would be wild, right? Not only that, they have also kind of had one of those classic sock puppet orchestras. Whenever people don't like their fanfic or get into flame wars with them. I had some personal beef with Spencer Holiday, who recently had a good portion of his reputation ruined, in partial thanks to me. As part of the consequences for stopping the Chameleon Rangers for getting all the squad's info, it was to turn off the server, yeah. Some data got leaked that basically implicates Kieklak as not only a Calazar fanfic author, but also as someone who has orchestrated a lot of sock puppet accounts and been involved in all sorts of fandom drama. And in general, just, maybe behavior not fitting of a representative, especially of the DFS. And this is all public knowledge. This has been reported on.
Mm-hmm.
So feel free if you want to try to use that as leverage against me or anything.
Oh, you're giving me leverage. Great.
Well, I didn't. I'm playing fair. For the record, that fanfic's name is Smoke and Roses. See, I have written here that it is the 4th longest fanfiction in one of the major fandom sites, over 2,000 chapters long.
What's it about?
It is an overly detailed alternate telling of the main series, diverging from canon plot when the author started it 30 years ago, notable for the brutality of its violence and its refusal to glorify Avi combat.
Exciting.
So it's like, hey, I have to make the stuff here more brutal to make it clear, like, no, war sucks. Which, yes, this is the contradiction that Kieklak was born from.
That's the bravest thing I've ever heard of.
Kieklak Nil's 30-year crusade against Wow Cool Robot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yes. While also being completely into the Wow Cool Robot show, there's a lot of talk about, like, how you can't make a truly anti-war war film or war book. I don't think that Kieklak has realized that. Maybe now. Because I should also say that the scar I took at the end of last session is cold. And I also have the level 3 harm cooked, which I think is a fun little balance there. So I should say Kieklak does not look good.
Yeah.
Their hair is a notably different shade of gray, and they still smell like burnt hair too. I think they are probably wearing a wig. I think they probably had to cut off a good amount of their hair because they got electrocuted pretty badly. And they're not wearing their normal, like, flowing robes. They're wearing a suit that's, like, weirdly shiny, almost like it's, like, vinyl or something, with metallic studs through it, that is basically a mobility aid that is helping them move their muscles with their kind of fried nervous system, protecting their burnt skin, probably also some stuff there to monitor their heart. They are not in a good way. This is like, a mobility aid that tries to stay hidden, but also like, if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Fabrizio Catana bangs their gavel 3 times and then says, "This session of the DFS legislature for the Hestial Front is now called to session. The House recognizes Speaker Nil."
Gishak Nil slowly makes their way to the dais. I think they are, unlike last time, parked right up near the front, so they won't have to walk very far. They have their assistant, DK Smythe, with them, just to make sure that they stay on their feet and, like, passing them notes, steady themselves. My fellow members of the legislature, it has been a challenging time here on the outskirts of Hestial, here in our great enterprise here on Logel. We have seen the horrors of war that usually stay out of our direct sight, stays in coldly written words on reports, on snatched audio recordings, on shaky camera footage. We here, this group of representatives, have stared death in the face. We have drawn blood. We have shed our own. There are things you have heard about me in the last 2 weeks. Stories of traitorous thought, stories of split loyalty, stories of whimsical distraction. I'm here to give you my own story. I was born on this planet. I was raised in the aristocracy of Jovengel. My family was quite well connected, close to the levers of power. And for the first 12 years of my life, I thought this was the way things should be. Human beings have a certain nobility to their spirit, not just human beings, all sentient peoples of Logel, of the DFS, but in my childhood, of course, Jovengel. It was then that I saw, as a, young, wealthy, naive child, I saw a couple of episodes of a show. Animated, silly, heartfelt. This was CalazCon. And it spoke to me. I saw true ideals reflected. I saw a view of the world where you can struggle for what is right. And then I saw the horrors of imperialism. I saw the terror of war. I saw the blood shed by empires, the lives stamped out for meaningless power. And I looked around and I saw that in my own life. I saw that in my own family. I saw their unquestioning commitment to empire. And I realized I could not live with that. My defection was easier than it would be for many other Jovangellians simply because I had access to that power. My flight into space, not knowing exactly where I would land, being welcomed so warmly into the DFS, being treated well, being treated with trust, with love, with other people who also saw the world with the same ideals that I could. And alongside that was CalazCon, still broadcast elsewhere. Although I should note, not in Jovengel. There were riots after Bastardos killed that certain character. If you know, you know. But as I began to find my political awakening in the DFS, I realized that my fandom would not be taken seriously. That was fine. I could make a pseudonym. I could spend my free time on my fandom online, while publicly I worked towards the things that I believed in. CalazCon was a series of many ups and downs, but the last 30 years have had many disappointments for me. It seemed to refuse to admit that war was hell. Those things that had radicalized me as a child now seemed absent from the show. And yet there still was that spark. And that spark was understood not just by me, but many in the fandom. This was my life for 30 years. I came here to Logel when the invasion began because this is, in many ways, my home. This is where the Kieklak Nil you know was born. And I want to bring that to the rest of the people here. That has not changed. The arrival of CalazCon, of course, complicates things. To have something from my personal life that I love so much thrown into conflict with my people, with our belief, with our attempt to liberate Hestial. I searched for a way to find a balance a way to focus our efforts against Jovangellian, to let the fandom do what the fandom would do. I thought that that would be for the best. I thought I could still do my job. Then we go to the events of our previous meeting. The attack, the horror, the bloodshed. Multiple members of this house, including me, almost died. And I come out of that with a new clarity. These beliefs about the horrors of war had always been abstract to me. Ideals, philosophies, not actions. And coming face to face with someone pointing a gun at your chest, I feel that I have been somewhat wrong. Not essentially wrong, but too squeamish. Perhaps a little hypocritical. If we truly want to liberate Hesiol and Logel and all of the great people from Logel, from CalazCon, even those unaffiliated, if we want to bring the city back to the bubbling life that it has always had, we must be willing to risk our lives and to shed blood of both ourselves and of those who would oppose us. We face two separate forces here that mean to obliterate us. We have always known, of course, that Jovangellian will fight the ferocity of a cornered beast. And now, with the intel that Red has provided, and corroborated by Tempestia, I feel we must face the fact that at least elements of CalazCon also mean to destroy us. We face them from a position of weakness. Our supply lines still struggle. We find that we know less and less about the situation. But the fact of the matter is, with these forces, with these enemies, they will kill us unless we kill them. We must go about this without just direct assault, although that may be required at times. For I do not believe it is every element of each of those forces who mean to destroy us. I know that there is nobility within the people of Jovangellian, a deep belief in the goodness of human spirit, of the true power of a human being. They would not stand for the destruction of Hesiol. The fans of Calazar, many of those at CalazCon, are full of passion, are full of love for something greater than themselves. Is that so different from us?
Yes.
And we ourselves? Well, I agree. Some of them, as we have seen with hermit crabs, with the 501st, of course, mean to destroy us, do not care for peace or democracy or the lives of their fellow people. But others do, and I think we can, together, begin to draw those forces towards us and draw them into conflict with those that would destroy us. I do not believe for a second that some of the Calazar fans, that some of the CalazCon units themselves would stand for a weapon of war that would destroy the entire city and their own beloved con. I would like to say that I will support a faction goal of divided they fall, which is to find those elements and turn them against the radical elements that mean to destroy us and this city, that we can find allies in strange places, and perhaps maybe manipulate some of these forces to aim at each other rather than ourselves.
Is that all, Speaker Nil?
They have a moment of like, I thought I had something else to say, and then TK just kind of nudges them. Yes, I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you, Speaker Nil. So everyone remember to mark an additional connection with Gishlak, and let's get some reactions from folks to this speech. And if you have an idea of what your new belief might be, or if you've completed a clock, what your question might be, I'd like to hear those too. Snuggs, what's Zendre's reaction?
I think he's pretty moved, especially the part about like how there's people who just really just want the same thing, and if we play our cards right, we could maneuver them, maybe not on our side, but like towards our enemies. And well, Zendre's been feeling a bit vicious since the incident. Didn't sit well with getting put full of holes. In fact, I think he's kind of got like a sort of mask on, covering his lower face, and it's kind of a breathing apparatus because his lungs are super messed up now.
Fishy, what's your reaction to the speech?
It's a lot of talking. I think Fishy might have zoned out a little bit partway through, and coming back in the end, hearing the like divided we fall. Like, oh, that's not bad. We can divide if they fall, maybe. That's my fourth tick with Gishlak. So I believe I get to ask a question.
Yeah, about one of your beliefs. So which one do you want to interrogate?
Oh, it's about the beliefs. Okay.
Yes. Do you need a bit of time to think about it?
Yeah, come back to me, I think.
Okay. What's Red's reaction to the speech?
Red is frustrated and trying to keep as much of a lid on it as he can. This self-pitying, I fell in love with a cartoon so bad that I had to lie while I did my job for 30 years, doesn't go down super great. My new belief with Gishlak is, I think Gishlak might actually be insane.
Rude.
But,
Wow.
Incredible.
But, divided they fall is actually what Red wants the faction goal to be also. So he's trying to be like, okay, well, this is weird, but they want the same thing I want for some reason. So okay, good. They're right. They just got there in a really weird, very long roundabout way.
Dr. Kane, what's your reaction to the speech?
Yeah, I think Dr. Kane is confused. I think in a similar situation as some of the others here, I think she doesn't quite know how to trust Gishlak in the way that, like, it's less about trust and a little more about, like, I don't think that she feels like she knows what Gishlak wants. It's hard to politic with people when you can't figure out what they want.
I think Gishlak wants to not get in trouble.
I think that makes a lot of sense. But, like, what they want from the legislature specifically, like, what do they want to use this platform to do? That's the knot that she's finding herself in. So I can ask my question, because my connection clock also failed. So I can ask a question about one of my beliefs, right?
Yep, what's that belief?
I have the belief Gishlak doesn't care about Hestiel except insofar as that it's important to their image. And I want to ask what Gishlak's opinion about, like, Hestiel and the people therein actually is.
Gishlak truly does believe that a Hestiel under the DFS will be a better place for the people there to live, and they do genuinely want that. They feel that there are acceptable losses here because in the long term, even if the war here in the short term is bad, in the long term, life under the DFS for the people of Hestiel will be better.
Sure.
Does that track?
It tracks. I think anti-WoW cool robot, but also there are acceptable losses in this war. Gishlak, I think, is a fun contradiction to be playing in. I think she's trying to puzzle out Gishlak in this moment. We see,
I think it is a true hypocrisy within Gishlak.
Yeah, no, totally. And, like, that's like a real thing that exists in people. So, like, it makes sense from that perspective, too.
Going back to, like, my introducing Gishlak, it was always, like, they were in the realm of, like, Democrats who voted for the Iraq War.
Yeah.
God.
Yep. Great stuff here. But I think in terms of, like, Dr. Kane's reaction, she's treating Gishlak as, like, a puzzle to be solved and feels one step closer to the solution. And I think my next belief is going to be something in that vein.
Okay.
Cool.
Fishy, did you figure out? Yep, you're good to go.
How did you get to be a legislator? Like, who voted for you? Like, why here?
Let's see. Gishlak was they were a pundit for years and years. And so they were, like, a known voice. And especially in a war against Jovengel, they've always been a strong anti-Jovangellian voice. And they very much ran on, like, look, we're going to run this war in the most humanitarian way with the least civilian casualties, where, look, I hate the fact that we have to do a war, but this is, like, necessary. So, like, they were going from, like, they were voted for by people who thought, like, oh, they are going to maybe tone back some of the more bloodthirsty elements. Also, like, they're a politician, they've worked in political spaces for years, they know how to get things done. They have been pretty disappointing to the people who voted for them.
Okay. I think my belief's going to be something like, they talk the talk, but I don't even know if they know what they're talking about. Does that make sense?
A lot of bluster.
Yeah, a lot of bluster.
Since we just had a speech, does anyone have a horse trading scene in mind?
I do.
All right, Fishy, who are you talking with?
I'd like to talk to Dr. Kane.
Oh.
Did this happen before, or...?
No, this happens after.
Okay.
I think this happens, like, the next day or so.
after the Chameleon Rangers attack?
Yeah. So finds you at your facility.
Mhm.
What is Dr. Kane doing? Well, obviously, like, sent invitation, etc. But, like, I'm
Yeah.
going to meet you. But, like, what is Dr. Kane doing when Fishy comes in?
I was planning this for a different scene, but I think this is good now. She is beat up. I didn't really describe her appearance in the last scene we got in the legislature actual building, so I'll do that now a little bit because I think it applies. She's wearing, like, I think a more comfortable outfit. Like, we've always seen her in the lab coat, but I think it's right now just kind of a baggy sweater. And there's just, like, lots and lots of cuts and scrapes over her skin, which aren't healing because all of her skin is synthetic. So it just is, like, sitting there as these, like, gashes, and you can see, like, a shiny metal, like, metallic surface underneath. And as you walk in, she's playing basically her voicemail on her, like, computer in her office. And we get, like, a recording of someone I doubt that Fishy would recognize, but talking about a fund that was set up in Dr. Kane's name for war veterans, and it's really unclear, but the Cam would recognize this as verbal acquisition from the farm upstate. This is Dr. Kane checking on that. But she sees you walk in and, like, pauses the thing.
Dr. Kane,
Fishy.
I'm glad to see you made it through, if not in one piece, but as many pieces as you need.
There's a tight smile. This isn't my first conflict that I've been in.
I have a request. I have a plan. I have an idea for a plan.
Well, please sit down. Is, like, trying to clear off space on the table, like the desk, and pulls over up a chair.
And he has, like, a manila folder or like a briefcase with a manila folder that he takes out and spreads out, like, a map and, like, photos of people. This is all, like, paper.
Yeah.
Fishy hasn't really been, like, doing the digital stuff. Everything's been paper. I want to call a ceasefire with Jovangellian. And I think we can do it under the table. No votes.
There's a deep breath. And you're sure that's a good idea?
I don't think it's a good idea to have distractions when what we really need to take care of is this weapon.
Okay.
If we're too busy fighting each other and this weapon gets completed or gets out, it's game over for all of us.
No, I completely agree. There's like a blinks of surprise, like, oh, I'm not the one having to do the convincing here. This is great. So, how do we go about doing this?
I need your drive, and any drives your squad will spare. I can put in 4, but I think we need 8.
Oh, mechanically, you're asking about drive clocks.
Yes. So, okay, mechanically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to change the circumstances of 2 factions at once so that they are both allied with each other until this mega weapon is either disproven or destroyed.
It's so funny because you came into her office and are basically asking for like $1 million. Or probably more than that.
I already have half.
So you're saying that if we pool the resources of your squad, my squad, and several others, that we're just going to be able to circumvent the legislature and put a stop to this conflict, at least temporarily. That's feasible? Even? Your constituents are agreeing to this?
They're putting in half the work. I can talk about what they said they were doing narratively.
Sure.
So we have Mike, the tuner, and Julius Thermidor, the hero, offering their drive clocks. Mike wants to show off and be some sort of like celebrity ace pilot. Makes sense for them being the tuner.
Mm-hmm.
They're the one that your squad is funding.
Yeah.
And they think this is a good opportunity to show off to Jovangellian and maybe get like a wider audience. Showing off in a way that like maybe gets them intimidated and maybe they don't want to fuck with us after we take care of this. Julius is a defector from Jovangellian, so has connections that way and understands how Jovangellian operates militarily and diplomatically and can pull a lot of strings in those directions. I, Fishy, have we have that one chameleon under our control or like imprisoned.
Are you asking or?
Well, no, we still have one that's like up in the air that we haven't talked about where she is. I forget her name. Anna?
Do you mean the intern?
The intern.
That was part of, so that was Ariel. So to be clear, part of Beam Saber is that squads do not have access to brigs, and that is intentional because squads do not get control over the prisoners they take. Right?
Not even at the legislature level?
Like there's not a brig at the legislature, right? You probably have connections to whatever the DFS intelligence community is that you can lean on through the legislature, but it's not like you can just walk down to the cell and have a chat with her or something, right? This is the sort of thing you have to arrange through a third DFS party.
Okay.
Just want to make it clear that you're not no one here or their squads are sitting on prisoners.
I think Zero Accountability has a brig if you're looking for a place to stash them.
Well, the point that I'm trying to get to is that we give them back, like do a prisoner exchange as an act of good faith to show that we are, and that's part of what my drive spending here is.
Yeah, that's a good narrativization.
Yeah. So those are my plans. I've got enough to change one faction squad. I need your drive and whatever drives you can muster from your squad to get 4 more. And then I think it happens. I think we can do this. I see it. Do you see it, Kate?
This is, like, out of character. This is really tricky because, like, and this is not a thing I super wanted to say to the other legislatures because I was keeping this field drive clock as a bluff vote if I needed it. But I've been saving this drive clock to actually help out one of the Farm Upstate people. There was a deal we made, I guessed on one of their episodes, and like I was saving my drive clock to be able to basically pair up. This is Worm, our AI, so that like she wasn't decommissioned and the project wasn't cancelled out of nowhere. Which means because of that and because of a whole bunch of other things, drive clocks are actually really hard to come by at the Farm Upstate right now. So I'm not sure.
This is so ironic because my squad has 2 AIs now that are like being used heavily that like we wouldn't even dream of decommissioning.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a whole thing. You should listen to the episodes whenever they drop.
I can't wait.
Yeah, okay. We actually have quite a few filled drive clocks over the Farm Upstate. But like because of how I talked about this with the other players, I really don't want to spend mine because that would feel like, I don't know.
So how does Dr. Kane break this to Fishy?
Yeah, no, I think...
Or you put him off and say, I'll get back to you.
I think it's a little bit of both. Narratively, what do you think Fishy is asking for? This is like... Because like a drive clock isn't like a physical resource. It's not like a briefcase full of money. Or I guess it could be, but like...
It just says drive across the side of it.
Exactly.
We need 8 of these.
I think part of it is...
It's like calling in favors. It's like social influence, that kind of thing.
Like, I've got the Jovangellian diplomacy aspect covered, because a lot of people in Terminal Company are from Jovangellian, and what I really need is DFS to be convinced. And I guess I was hoping that you could do that while I'm so busy convincing Jovangellian.
Jumping back into the fiction here, I think, like, Dr. Kane is like, lets out a deep breath. You're not sure if she needs to breathe. She just holds her head in her hands. And she looks tired. Like, the whole process of, like, she's been going nonstop for, like, kind of a little while at this point, and it's wearing on her. You've asked at a really bad time, Fishy. I really, really want to help, but I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I can give you what you need right now. I can reach out to my squad and see what they can do. I suspect you might get some buy-in, but I'm not sure. I can't guarantee anything. What I will say, though, I've talked with Red, and I think he would be on your side, and might have the resources to help more available than I would.
Fishy is no better than Dr. Kane right now. Like, maybe he's a little less beat up, but he hasn't slept in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
His squad got attacked in their base, started a mission with severe damage, and so he's been already trying to pull strings there, and now he's got this idea, so And this is all going in his head. He's just staring into space.
If it was about funding, if it was about materiel, if it was about vehicles or weapons or anything, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Shaking head. I understand. But every bit of help counts. We're halfway there. We just need 4 more drives, and we've got there. So keep me updated. I'm willing to trade votes, but yeah.
I need to help. I think you can understand this, but in situations like this, you need to take care of your own first. And this is what I'm being forced to choose between. A good plan with the right support and someone who needs my help now. I'll see what I can do, but I can't make any guarantees.
I'll take it. That's not nothing. Thank you, Dr. Kane.
Thank you, Fishy.
Goes for a soft handshake. Doesn't want to cut his hand again.
Yeah. It's just, good and normal. The camera maybe lingers on it because it mirrors the other one they previously had, but it's just, totally normal.
Okay, so since Fishy initiated that horse trading, it doesn't sound like there was any exchange of supplier votes there. But who knows,
Guess
maybe
not.
that swayed Dr. Kane regardless. But Fishy, you get to add a connection with Dr. Kane and a new belief.
Dr. Kane has a good heart. I wish we all had more to offer.
Great. Okay, so that's one horse trading down. Does anyone have another speech or horse trading they'd like to do?
I think I'd like to try to horse trade with Red.
Where and when?
I think Zendre will be waiting for Red, after we kind of adjourn for today. He'll be, waiting outside the building, where he expects that Red would make his exit.
Yeah, Red comes out of the building. Red is dressed still in his usual suit, but I think has basically a cast around his whole chest. And so has it's as if he has a suit on underneath that or something like that. So it's got the sleeves and the top of the tie kind of sticking out of it somehow. Maybe even more strikingly, his jaw is completely gray. He doesn't have the facial hair, and it looks as though there's some sort of printed, like a 3D printed facsimile of his jaw in place.
Oh, one prosthetic.
This isn't even my first prosthetic jaw, but I haven't quite finished with the exterior just yet. How's Zendre looking?
Zendre is a bit hunched over, is using a cane, has a rebreathing mask on, kind of hooked up to a sort of hip pack that helps filter air, because his lungs are not working well right now.
Right. Red says, you look great.
Despite the circumstances, it hurts to talk, so...
Well, please, I won't keep you engaged.
Zendre shakes his head, but I have things I have to say.
Oh. Sort of looks around and gestures at a park bench or something like that. It's oh, would you like to take a seat?
Yes, please.
I think offers his arm.
Zandre's gonna take it. After a moment of looking and assessing the situation, decides to take it. It's a show of good faith.
Helps you over. Make sure you're settled in, then sits down.
Let me start with an apology. You're right that a lot of this is just talking in circles. And I came to realize that all the words in the world don't matter much when you have a loaded gun aimed right at you. The other day, I can personally attest that I was on both sides of that. My apology is this. It's for the scheming and conniving and plotting and planning. All the, let's be frank, bullshit that detracts from why we're here.
I am ever so sorry that it took such terrible events to make you see things my way.
Well, wake-up calls aside, that apology, it was more of a prelude to what I want to ask. I want to know more about this supposed super weapon. And how we might cooperate in dealing with it efficiently so that we can get down to the real matter and get the Empire off this planet.
Red takes a deep breath and says, I want to know a lot more about it than I do. And I trust that the people that we have on the ground are capable of riddling out all this stuff that has been hidden from us. What I think I have not really appreciated about the situation here at Hestiol is that while we are fighting a war, it is not necessarily all about lining up on the front line and pulling the trigger that we're good at, that we're well situated for. I don't know if you've noticed, but we got a lot of freaks in this city. A lot of folks that are good at all manner of wet work and espionage and sabotage and infiltration and some degree of presentation and performance. It seems to me that the DFS forces seem to be well positioned to discover and undermine whatever it is CalazCon has going on. What I think we need to do is do our part to get the Empire off their back. I don't know if that means they're going to leave, but if they give us at least an opening to prevent the city from being destroyed, then that's got to count for something.
Do you think there's merit in Nil's ploy to pit two potential enemies against each other?
I think just the mention of Nil has a vein popping out on Red's forehead. And is like, I think Nil's got their eyes on the prize. I don't know if they necessarily have the best aim for scoring it. I think perhaps dividing and conquering is a good way to go about what it is we're doing, but I don't know if we really want Jovangellian treating us adversarially in the midst of all that. I think it'd be, at the very least, deeply embarrassing to have arranged such a video from Tempestia and then fire some shots in her direction.
Zendre takes a long, thoughtful moment, and you can see on his face that he is very haggard, very tired. All the kind of like jittery, nervous, I don't know what I'm doing, that's absent from his face.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty clear that got beaten out of him.
Mavis, you sure you should be doing any of this work? It seems like you should be in bed for a couple of years.
I'll be good and ready to rest when I'm done. And I promise you, I am going to rest. But for now, that's not a leisure I think any of us can afford.
I can respect that.
I would like to propose offering the services of the 86 to investigate this weapon. They say many hands make light work.
Everything that I know about the 86 suggests that is a spectacularly well-reasoned, generous offer. One that I think the DFS would greatly benefit from.
They're trying to get into a very exclusive sort of party. And I think if we work together, we can push that for the purpose of them investigating the movers and shakers within CalazCon. Pry some secrets loose, and those secrets will be yours to have. You and Pizza can do what you want with them.
Mechanically, what is it you're proposing here?
He wants to vote on a mission for the 86.
Uh-huh. That makes sense.
And he's asking Red to put some votes towards it.
Yeah. Red is certainly willing to do that if you're willing to contribute towards this proposal of Divided They Fall as a faction goal.
All right. Shakily, Zendre stands, stumbles a little bit, catches himself with the help of the cane. I'll be in touch.
You want me to call you a car or something?
I'm just gonna take a nap in my office. They did clean all the blood and viscera out of there, didn't they?
I wouldn't know. This is why I never have an office. That's a joke. I was hoping maybe that'd shake you out of it. I could you want another joke? I could do something else.
You're...
Watch this. He takes off his jaw and goes, oh
God!
That was disturbing. Please don't do that again.
Yeah, I was probably not well thought out. All right, well, I gotta go, and Red steals a bicycle and leaves.
Just takes a bicycle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
It happens all over in this city.
Zendre just watches this legislator just commit bike theft.
I mean, maybe it was a rideshare thing, but no, he stole a bike.
Zendre just stares on, and then, like, turns and, like, hobbles his way back to his office. You know, hopefully they cleaned it. Who knows? But that computer is gone. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of like the extra twist of the knife in his gut is that all of his files are kaput.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm good to call that scene.
Sounds like rather than exchanging any supply points for votes, you're exchanging votes for votes. So, Zendre, you get to add a connection with Red. Do you have a belief in mind?
He's a terrible comedian, but a capable pragmatist.
Deeply relieved that the belief is not simply he's a terrible comedian.
Dr. Kane, you're up. Are you going to do a speech or are you going to trade some horses?
I need to trade some horses.
With whom and when?
I would love to trade horses with Red. And I have two thoughts for the framing of the scene with respect to the when of this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And Brendan, I was curious if you had any thoughts.
Sure.
Option one is trying to, like, hash this out during the last mission. I think there's, like, the fictional positioning for that, and I think there's something fun in there. Option two is in the hospital at your bedside.
Oh, yeah.
There's, like, the option three of something else, and I'm happy to hear that, too.
I like actually the hospital scene. I was hoping maybe to get one of those. Let's do that.
Dr. Kane shows up, looking ragged herself, but on 2 feet, and has a bundle of flowers.
Oh my goodness. Doctor, you've got a real good friend to have someone deliver those to you.
I just figured they'd brighten up your room a little bit.
Me? Oh, my goodness. That is... I can't think of the last time someone got me flowers. That is deeply kind of you. Thank you so much. I'm just here... this is procedure number 3, I think, getting a new torso put in. It's evidently made more complicated by the fact that he pats his belly. Got quite a torso.
Well, I'm wishing you best of luck and all of that. I imagine it's not pleasant.
So it goes. How are you?
I've made it through worse. I'm not worried.
Simply nods thoughtfully.
I am fortunate in some respects to be able to be back on my feet within just a little while.
Doctor, you saved my life in more ways than one. I think in a lot of ways you saved all of us.
More ways? I'm only aware of the first. Or the most literal.
I mean, if it weren't for your understanding of the tools that you had at your disposal in your office and the bravery that you showed in going there and using them when we could have left or done anything else, then who's to say what the situation for the DFS would be right now? Or for us? I know you know that, but I just want to acknowledge it.
That's fair, I guess. I think being the legislator for the form of state involves being able to learn very quickly the capabilities of everyone around you. So, I guess moving over to the legislature wasn't that big of a jump.
I'm finding with each passing session that it has more in common with being on the battlefield than I initially thought.
You and me both. Would you mind if I talked about some business?
Absolutely.
I have a favor to ask.
Ask away.
Me and the form of state need somebody dead. And Zero Accountability tends to be quite good at that.
That is our reputation.
So I would like, if you have it in you, to put a swift end to Logan suddenly. This is the ex-direct superior of the form of state.
Huh.
I'm not sure if you know that name.
No, I don't know that one.
Then I can say that in character then. Logan suddenly used to be the direct superior to my squad, but has recently shown his true colors and turned traitor to CalazCon.
They've betrayed us for CalazCon.
Precisely. Which means the timing of this request is quite fortuitous.
That is so. That is so. I have no idea all these people seeing these cartoons.
I always assumed it was a me thing, not getting it, but...
You know I'm in one of the shows?
Seriously?
Yeah, it's not based in reality or anything like that, but it's... Yeah,
Is it Red Philodendron, the character, daring pilot, or is it you acting as one of the characters?
It's the former. I am not a performer or voice actor. I am not involved in the production. I'm not even. Now that you bring this up, I wonder if I'm owed some degree of money or something like that. They've been using me. I'm gonna. And he like looks around, can't find a piece of paper, and like grabs a Sharpie and writes a note on his cast.
Check in about royalties.
Calazar, residuals? Several question marks? Anyway, yes, 100%.
That's something that you could do.
Send me the details.
I will. That was easier than I was expecting, if I'm being honest. I wasn't sure if you needed more encouragement.
To get my squad to do something that is their job?
Yes, frankly.
All right, fair. You got me there. No, Doctor. No, I always deliver for my friends.
You keep saying that.
Am I wrong to?
I'm not sure.
I'm a better friend than whatever else it is I am to these fellow legislators.
I would prefer to have you as a friend than an enemy, if I'm being truthful.
Is it simply a matter of preference?
No, but friends are hard to come by. In wartime, or peacetime, I think.
That's exactly why I always try to be reliable.
Slow nod.
I think some of the, surgeons start coming in, and Red is like, send me the details. I'll take care of it.
So, mechanically, I'm proposing a mission, which is...
Yep.
Pizza attack Logan suddenly.
Yep.
And that's just okay?
Red doesn't ask for anything else.
Wow. Cool, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
I mean, maybe you owe him a favor later on, but who knows?
Sure. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Didn't even have to offer first right of refusal on the teeth.
That'll be useful for my next scene.
All right, so that's one scene down from everyone.
Oh, I finish up my clock with Red.
Yeah, what's the belief you want to interrogate about him?
This is quite the journey that your beliefs for Red Philodendron have been on. Do you want to read them?
Yeah, sure. 1. Red's methods will only make the war harder to win. He must be tempered. 2. Red is too set in his ways to see anything better. I'll need a coalition to stop him. 3. Maybe, just maybe, there's a future where Red and I can work together. If anything was going to make it happen, it'd be this. And this is referring to the Tempestia video.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like it's got to be that one. Is there a future where Red and Dr. Kane can work together, do you think? Properly?
100% there is. I think what you have to understand about Red is that Red was being 100% honest there, in that he will do anything for the people that he thinks are... Red will do anything for the people that are important to him. And some of those people are on different sides of the conflict, and some of those people have fallen short and fallen out of his esteem. The original Zero Accountability broke up for a reason.
Yeah.
He's gone through a lot of what it feels like to trust in someone and have them either walk out on you or betray you or make a decision that you simply can't agree with. And rather than make that a basis for not trusting anyone, Red is like, well, the only thing that really matters is the people that I can rely on, and everything else is just bullshit. The war, the legislature, traffic laws.
Bike was mine anyway. Yeah, no, this is good. I think my new belief is going to be, I want Red to see the value in things other than his immediate friends. I think something to that effect.
Thanks for listening to CalazCon. This episode was edited by me, Austin Ramsey. You can find my work at austin-ramsey.itch.io. Sound balancing for this episode was done by Christine Blight. You can reach her for voice acting at CVBlight@gmail.com. The show's music is by Devin Nelson. You can find them on all social media at Devin Decibel. If you'd like to support CalazCon, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. Please tell your friends about the show too. Remember, all glory to Calazar.